Guys, today we have 10 shocking, disturbing photos. We will look at the photos and then we will experience the backstory behind this photo. Okay, this video will be crazy, guys. My name is Mats. Let's go. I have my protein shake here, so yeah.
10 shocking photos for you, each taken just moments before a horrifying tragedy struck. I'll walk you through the story behind each photo, and at the end, I'll reveal the real deal. As always, viewer discretion is advised. On November 8th, 2017, Wu Yongming, also known as the Chinese Superman, stood atop a skyscraper and fearlessly peered down from the 62nd floor. This 26-year-old daredevil was also dubbed China's first rooftopper because he was notorious for his risky antics, scaling tall buildings.
What can I say about these guys, okay? I know this French guy, he wants to climb like every high building in the world, and this is just crazy. This is one of my biggest fear. I don't have fear of heights, but to climb on the facade of a skyscraper, this is just dumb and so terrifying.
Buildings and even hanging off rooftops without a safety net. He'd post his videos of his feats on the social media platform Weibo and on the video sharing site Huoshan, where they'd quickly go viral, earning him some decent cash. Sometimes sponsors would even pay for his stunts. But
you get arrested when the police sees that because it's actually not allowed, and then you have to pay for the fees or anything, or you have to go in jail in the worst case. But yeah,
wasn't splurging on luxuries. He was using that money to cover his sick mom's medical bills and saving up for his future wedding with his girlfriend. For his next trick, the Chinese Superman,
poor girlfriend, she has to worry about her boyfriend every day,
headed to the Huaiyuan International Center in Changsha. As usual, he squatted on the edge of the rooftop. However, his foot slid on the slick surface of the skyscraper, and the guy plummeted. He fell about 14 meters and crashed onto the terrace below. Whether he died instantly or lingered in agony at the hospital from his injuries, we'll never know. Here's a snapshot taken just a second before the poor guy took his fatal plunge.
Yeah, I have seen it. And this guy died a few minutes later.
But hold on tight, because I've got an even more chilling pic of another thrill seeker whose love for heights ended in tragedy too. On July 2nd, 2013, Pavel Kashin, a famous parkour practitioner from Russia, was gearing up to film his next stunt on a 16-story building. He was planning to do a backflip right on the edge of the rooftop.
Bro, some people, they do need that adrenaline, but just don't do it. Just don't do it, please.
Yet something went wrong. Maybe Pavel misjudged the distance or felt a sudden pain in his leg. Whatever it was, it sent him veering to the right, and he went tumbling off the edge.
Oh my God.
He fell roughly 61 meters.
Imagine you see that you're chilling on your balcony and it makes like that splash sound, and someone just fell 30 meters down on the hard floor. This is just a disturbing thing to experience, I guess.
And brutally met his end.
Guys, my name is Mats and we're the Hey Squad, and subscribe my channel if you haven't done it yet. Just to remember you.
Looking at the photo his friends took on the rooftop, you can practically...
Oh, no way. No way. To imagine a few minutes later he died.
Feel the tension.
Oh, not a few minutes, a few seconds later. I don't know, was it exactly that backflip?
See the focus look.
The whole video is, I'm really sure the whole video is somewhere in the dark web. You can see anything there. Yeah, but I do not want to see it.
On Pavel's face, not knowing that this stunt would be his last. Pull-ups and backflips. What's riskier than that at heights? Well, how about Robert Overacker's bright idea? Roof jumps were getting old for him. So on October 1st, 1995, he decided to fly over Niagara Falls on a jet ski. He planned to pop his parachute right at the edge.
And what is with the jet ski? Just break it or what?
Which he had strapped on his back. Just as it was about to happen, his friend and brother were supposed to snap some epic shots of him from different angles, but they didn't quite capture the moment. The parachute didn't open. His loved ones stared into the water, hoping Robert would surface. Indeed, they saw him waving his arms from beneath the waves. Later though, it turned out that the rough waters were just tossing his body around, making it look like he was still alive. They fished...
he was already dead. But because of the tossing water, they saw the hands and they thought he was waving. But actually in the Niagara Falls, like, you will drown, right? To survive that, it's really, really difficult.
Robert Overacker out of...
But why did the parachute not open?
...the water and rushed him to the hospital. Unfortunately, it was too late. These two photos look like something out of an action movie.
That is a real photo. What is that idea? What is that idea? With a jet ski? But currently it's not allowed anymore, right? Because it's like a protected area and it's not allowed to drive with a jet ski here. Or maybe they do it illegal.
Sometimes even just wanting to get a good snap of wildlife can turn into a real tragedy. Catherine Chappell worked as a visual effects artist on Game of Thrones, Captain America, Godzilla, and did charity work in her free time. On June 1st, 2015, she was in South Africa on a conservation mission. She took her camera along to capture some close-up shots of wild animals, and the guide assured her they were safe inside the car. Then, the group of tourists came across a lion and lioness just chilling. The car stopped so everyone could check them out. Chappell started taking photos, but she wanted a better shot that wouldn't be messed up by the car window. So she slyly lowered it to quickly snap a pic of the graceful lioness. The lioness noticed it and suddenly lunged at the car. She reared up on her hind legs, put her front paws on the window, and stuck her head inside the car. That's the moment captured by tourists in another car. Soon enough, they weren't thinking about photos. They faced a horrifying scene. The lioness started attacking Chappell, who was sitting by the window. The brave guide jumped on the lioness barehanded and bashed her in the head. The lioness let go of the girl, yet before everyone in the car could catch their breath, she shoved her muzzle back through the window while the driver was still trying to get away, and continued tearing into the volunteer's body. The guide desperately trying to save the girl, who didn't
Oh my god, this is so dramatic.
listen to safety rules,
I want to see the photo, the real photo.
had a heart attack and was hospitalized. Catherine didn't make it. Here's a photo taken from another car when the beast first peeked into the car.
There it is. Oh my god, just drive. Just push the gas pedal.
Window.
Oh my god.
You know,
but they are so fast.
Sometimes a scary death story can hide behind a picture of people smiling like nothing bad's gonna happen.
I wanted to do that as well, to make a safari in South Africa or something, or Tanzania. I wanted to do it as well, but now I'm not sure anymore. These kind of videos, they unlock new fears, right?
On August 20th, 1975, the McQuilkin brothers, Michael and Sean, were posing to their sister, Mary, on top of Morro Rock in Sequoia National Park, California. At one point, they noticed their hair standing up for some reason. They thought it was funny, but little did they know what was coming next.
No.
Later, the weather turned bad, so the brothers and sister decided
There's electric energy in the air. This is dangerous.
to head down. Before they could, a powerful bolt of lightning struck from the sky, hitting Michael and Sean. Michael felt like he was lifted off the ground for a few seconds and then fell on his back. His younger brother passed out, and smoke was coming from his back and elbow.
What? But I've heard some people have died of it, but there are some people who survived a lightning strike. So you can actually survive it. But I want to see the photo. These stories are so interesting.
Michael quickly put out the fire on his brother's body and checked his pulse and breathing. He was still alive. Michael carried Sean to the car and rushed him to the hospital. Luckily, this story had a happy ending, and the boy survived. Michael handed this photo over to the local rangers to use in educational materials, warning tourists
Oh my god, this is the real photo.
about the danger of lightning.
Oh, and they were laughing because they didn't expect anything disturbing. They were like, okay, this is funny. But there's a lot of electric energy in the air. Wow, that is crazy. But how could you avoid it? To lay on the ground or anything? Because lightning strike, they always look for the highest point, right? And with no tree or anything around them, what is higher than their body, their heads, of course the light will strike into their heads. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Lightning on the peaks of the park. Unfortunately, this is the only story in this episode where all the photographed people managed to survive.
Oh, no way. Okay, it will get worse. So this is the only story where they survive. In the other stories, they died.
The next shots immediately show that the victims in them didn't stand a chance. On February 4th, 2015, in Taiwan, a horrifying incident shook the world. Flight 235 of TransAsia Airways was on its regular flight from Taipei to Kinmen. There were 53 passengers and 5 crew members on board. Right after takeoff, something went wrong with one of the engines, so the system shut it down automatically, but the crew didn't realize it right away, and the pilots decided to shut down the wrong engine themselves. Then, one of them shouted in horror, "Wow, pulled back the wrong side throttle!" As it's
turned off the wrong engine. What the heck? How can that happen? Oh, come on, guys.
Turned out, he shut down the working engine, which meant that both engines weren't working at 500 meters in the air. When the attempted restart didn't help, the plane started plummeting straight toward the busy streets of the city. First, it clipped a residential building. Then it flipped almost 90 degrees right over the viaduct in Kwangnon, hitting the front of a taxi with its left wing.
Oh my gosh, I know that video.
After that, the plane snagged on the concrete railing at the edge of the viaduct.
Imagine you're the driver of that car, and in front of your windshield there's like a plane coming, an aircraft coming, and it's like going through the bridge,
tearing off part of the wing, and then it plunged into the water, breaking into 2 pieces. As a result of the crash, 39 passengers, 3 pilots, and a flight attendant passed away.
Oh my gosh. 44 people, right? Oh my god. 43, I don't know. Oh my god. And everyone has like a family and oh my gosh.
13 passengers and another flight attendant suffered serious injuries, while 2 people in the taxi had minor injuries. This photo of the plane, almost horizontally looming over the traffic bridge, was taken by a dashboard camera from one of the cars. I can't even imagine what people felt when they realized their own death was inevitable.
Yeah.
It's only scarier if you're falling out of a plane, not in it.
That must be so horrifying when you're sitting on the plane and you just realize that you will crash. Oh my god. And you're not sure if you will survive the next 5 minutes, guys. We make the shout out now. Shout out goes out to Try Not Love 69420. Thank you so much for your kind comment, for your support. I appreciate it. If you want to get a shout out in the next video, guys, it's very easy. Just subscribe my channel. You have to belong to the Hey Squad, best community in the world, and comment down below, and maybe you will get the shout out.
On February 22nd, 1970, amateur photographer John Gilpin decided to test out his new lens. So he headed to Sydney Airport to snap some cool shots of planes soaring in the sky. He aimed his camera at a DC-8 passenger plane that was taking off to Japan. The shots seemed okay, and the satisfied photographer dropped off the film for development. In the following days, though, the town buzzed with news about some awful incident at the airport. When John got the developed photos back a week later, he dove right in, carefully examining each one. On one of them, he saw the silhouette of a person falling from the plane.
No way.
It was 14-year-old Keith Sapsford. The kid
14?
had just returned from a round-the-world trip with his family, but he wasn't ready for the adventures to end, so he sneaked off to the airport without his parents knowing. He managed to sneak onto the plane through the open cockpit door and hid in the rear section. The DC-8 took off, and Keith was already picturing himself strolling through Tokyo's scenic streets when, suddenly, he plunged downward. Keith didn't know he was sitting on panels that would open up again after takeoff to reach.
What? Okay, he's 14, he's young. But, bro, even if it would close, it's so dangerous. You don't know if it gets hot in there. It's like a small room. You can panic there. You have to stay there a few hours. I don't know how long the flights. It was from Sydney to Japan for a few hours. And the photographer, he sees it when the photos were finished. He didn't even notice in the first place.
Track the landing gear. The poor kid fell from a height of
60 meters on the hard floor. I want to see the photo.
About 60 meters and passed away. In this grainy black and white photo, John Gilpin accidentally captured Keith Sapsford's final moments. It's a picture of how big dreams
accidentally
can turn into real nightmares. The next photo.
Yeah, dreams. It's not a dream to sneak into an aircraft in this small room.
Arguably the most dramatic shot taken.
But how can that happen? Someone has to see him.
Just a second before death. On October 22nd, 2022, at a wind farm in Oltensplat, Netherlands, a tragic accident occurred.
Oh no, please don't tell me he fell down from this huge thing.
4 workers were performing routine maintenance on a 67-meter wind turbine when it suddenly burst into flames.
What?
2 of them managed to escape, but the other 2 couldn't. One jumped from the turbine, while the other was engulfed in flames. However, neither of them survived. These engineers were only 19 and 21 years old.
How young? 19 and 21.
The photo of this incident captured the moment before the leap when 2 buddies realized the inevitable and embraced each other amidst the flames and smoke.
What?
Now, I want to show you yet another infamous photo, taken not before, but after the fatal incident. On April 23, 1967, Soviet astronaut Vladimir Komarov launched on the Soyuz 1 rocket for a low Earth orbit to perform a spacewalk between two ships. Yuri Gagarin, his closest friend, was assigned as the backup astronaut for this mission. Yuri wasn't just a colleague, but Vladimir's closest friend, so he closely monitored every stage of the flight preparation. After that, he handed over 10 pages of a report to the KGB describing the spacecraft's problems and reasons to cancel the mission. However, the Soviet authorities ignored these warnings, even though Komarov was also aware of the risks. He didn't back down because he wanted to save his friend Gagarin, who would have been forced to fly in his place. So, what happened during the flight itself? Nobody knows for sure. Still, we can imagine that the events probably unfolded like this. At some point, there was a problem with one of the two rocket's solar panels. Due to a shortage of electricity, the launch of Soyuz 2 was canceled, and Komarov, who was aboard Soyuz 1, was told to return and land the spacecraft. The rocket landed near Orsk. Employees, family, and Vladimir's close friend Yuri Gagarin breathed a sigh of relief. But this joy wasn't for long. Just a few minutes later, a distressing message came from the landing site. The ship is on fire. The cosmonaut is not found.
No.
As it turned out, after the problem with the solar panel, the cosmonaut faced a new challenge. The rocket's brakes didn't engage. All hope was left on the soft landing system. However, at an altitude of 7,000 meters, the parachute that was supposed to deploy didn't. The landing was far from soft. The spacecraft crashed at high speed and caught fire. After extinguishing it, rescuers spent another hour trying to find the astronaut in this giant pile of wreckage. Vladimir was burned so badly that only a small glowing lump measuring 30 by 80 centimeters was left, in which only
the rest, there was nothing left from him.
the bone of his heel could be recognized.
Oh my god.
Here's his last photo. But the full picture of this story is still shrouded in mystery, as Soviet officials weren't keen on admitting and publicizing their mistakes. However, there's
Tragic.
a photo whose story couldn't be hidden. On September 30th, 1999, Hisashi Ochi and two other workers were cleaning uranium oxide to make fuel rods at a nuclear fuel reprocessing plant in Tokaimura.
I don't know if that story I'm thinking about. Is it that guy with the most painful death because he was like so radioactive? I don't know.
Usually, the processed uranium had a level of enrichment with the reactive isotope not exceeding 5%. That day, though, the workers were told to deal with uranium of a much higher enrichment level, namely 18.8%. To speed up the process, the more radioactive uranium was processed using the same technology as the 5% one. Workers were forced to manually mix dangerous reagents in 10-liter stainless steel buckets instead of using the designated tank. What's even worse, they poured the resulting mixture not into a temporary container, but into a large settling tank. Ouchi, who had no experience working with uranium of such a high enrichment level, poured
What?
7 buckets of nitric acid uranium oxide instead of 1. Just as he leaned over the settling tank and began pouring in the last bucket, he saw a sudden blue flash of radioactive radiation. He immediately felt pain all over his body, nausea, and difficulty breathing. Then Ouchi vomited and blacked out. The man received the highest level of radiation ever recorded in a human being.
Ever recorded
17 sieverts of radiation.
17 sieverts. Oh my god.
This exceeds
How does it feel? I do not want to experience that. I do not want to feel, but radiation is so terrifying but so interesting at the same time.
the annual permissible radiation dose for workers at such facilities by 1,700 times. Ouchi suffered from ear and hand pain. His face was slightly red and swollen. His eyes were bloodshot. 6 days later, experts noticed that the chromosomes in Ouchi's bone marrow cells were damaged and can no longer generate new cells. Doctors tried various experimental medical methods on Ouchi, but all in vain. On December 21st, 1999, at 11:21 p.m., Hisashi Ouchi's body stopped fighting. Nonetheless, no one could believe that a person who experienced the highest dose of radiation in history would live for 83 days.
This is crazy. 83 days.
This is what Ouchi looked like before he drew his last breath. write in the comments. Also, subscribe to my channel to not miss the next episode.
Okay, that was the last, but it didn't look so bad, to be honest. Okay, but that was terrifying. Guys, this is all for today with photos with disturbing backstories. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, leave a like and of course subscribe my channel. My name is Mats. We're the Hey Squad, best community in the world. Uploads every day. Thanks and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.